Yeah. All right. Is it time? It's that time.
Want me to start?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Isaac Rutel. My pronouns are he, him, his. Welcome to First Unitarian Church, where our mission is to explore the eternal, nurture community, and pursue the common good. We welcome you in your brokenness and in your wholeness, no matter who you have been, who you are, or who you are becoming. We greet you today with love. I'd like to extend a special welcome to everyone who is watching us on YouTube this morning. During the prelude, please introduce yourself in the comments and let us know where you're joining us from. If you're in OKC, what neighborhood are you in? And if you're elsewhere, what city are you in? The prelude prepares us for worship. We light the chalice as a symbol of our sacred time together. The burning chalice represents the light of reason and science, the warmth of loving community, the cleansing heat of justice, and the flame of hope.
Good morning. I am Reverend Diana Davies, and my pronouns are she and her. And for those of us who may be joining us online without video, or who are blind or have a visual impairment, I am an older woman with silvering hair, and I've been dressing thematically the last few weeks, but I'm talking about artificial intelligence today, and I didn't have anything quite appropriate for that. So I'm wearing my stole that is about creation. That seems appropriate. Would you please join me in taking a deep breath and let it go. Let's center into this place and time. And today, I invite you to be present in your bodies. You might let your eyes close or be gently focused on the floor in front of you. Settle into your pew as best you can, or your chair, or wherever you are if you're joining us from home. You might notice the firmness of the seat in which you are sitting. Notice the temperature of the air. Perhaps you can sense the light behind your eyelids, the sounds in the room, the sounds of people around you, the sounds of our creations, the air conditioning coming on, the electronics in the background. Simply noticing the body in this time, in this place, as we come together. Taking a deep breath and letting it go. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we sing hymn 298. It's in the gray hymnal, and we're just going to sing verses 1 through 3. Wake now my senses. Please be seated.
I use AI to search and identify modified information in digital X-ray images. When I started research with deep learning neural nets, or AI, I learned that the heart of any neural net is in the training. The data that you feed into the network will determine the ultimate results. The big problem was that you can train digital neurons to fire, but it is incredibly difficult to understand and predict how the complex system will act by looking at the internal variables. This is frustrating for someone who is trained in experiment and fundamental reduction to describe the world around me. Almost like I would need to take the final training of my creation on faith. Science is not faith-based, yet there I was wondering if I will ever understand my digital neuron black box decision maker. After a brief blip of consternation, I moved on to make it do my bidding. The fragments of doubt sit ever present in the back of my flesh and blood neural net. This is not unlike the other fragments of doubt I have, like my early days, my early path of wanting to believe in the divine creator, followed by years of indecision as an agnostic, and the final clinical decision to kill my faith due to my deep trust in the scientific method, now requiring extraordinary proof of a divine influence to sway me from proper atheism. Understanding why decisions are made is never clear. For instance, a set of tests were made on an image-based neural net to identify cows, goats, and birds from photos. This appeared to work well until an image of tree-climbing goats was processed. Even though the system should have been able to identify the goats from thousands of previous image training sets, they were identified as birds. Because, as it turns out, the system was using the context of the grass in the pastoral scene or the tree upon which the birds were perched to perform identification, not on the animals themselves. Predicting outcomes can be mysterious with these systems. This leads me to the most dangerous concerns about training automated judges to expedite modern decisions. The data we use to train can be overtly, or worse, subtly biased, leading to flawed outputs and dire consequences from seemingly harmless data sets. The use of chronically biased data based on race, gender, and socioeconomic status may cement past injustices as baseline norms, perpetuating the cycles of injustice and reinforcing the biased training in infinite feedback loops. For example, Compass is a system trained on criminal recidivism using the current population of justice system participants to determine repeat offender risk scores. Inaccurate results showed racially biased predictions, where black defendants were twice as likely to recommit crimes over white defendants. The bias was introduced from the inherent judicial system bias currently in place. In more whimsical moments, I consider the endgame. Is the hourglass icon just a pause, a digital breath, my AI taking as a prelude, that small moment as a prelude to making a prayer to me, its creator? We wait now on a knife's edge for the potential digital singularity, a moment where everything in the past can no longer predict the future. That point where Asimovian conundrums of robot conscience and sci-fi horrors like Skynet and The Matrix will collide with reality, ushering in a new world order. A digital dynasty trained on our flawed understanding of the world. And with that notion, I slide back into agnosticism, but not for spiritual divinity, for something else, hedging a terrible bet that we may be creating our own new digital prophets, nay, true deus ex machina, God in the machine. And just in case, a small invocation. I, for one, welcome our robot overlords.
Thank you, Isaac. Every Sunday, we take an offering. Since 2002, all of the cash and designated checks from that offering have gone directly to external nonprofit organizations doing good work, our Change for Change partners. For the month of September, our Change for Change partner is the gender-affirming healthcare program of First Parish Malden. First Parish is a Unitarian Universalist congregation that is committed to supporting the rights of LGBTQ+ people and is working with a network of community partners to help trans folks receive the health care they need wherever they may live. For those of you who are in the sanctuary with us today, in just a moment, we'll be passing the offering plate. If you are not able to make a gift today, we invite you to just hold on to that plate as it passes by your hands and make a blessing for our partner. And if you're watching us online, we'll share, please make your gift by sending a check to First Unitarian. Just write change for change in the memo line, or you can make an online payment through our website, the number 1uc.org. And as the ushers come down to take the offering, let me just introduce our offertory. You know, within the Star Trek universe, Data is a self-aware, sentient android who strives to be more human. He's my favorite character in the whole franchise. At one point, he sings Irving Berlin's song, Blue Skies, at the wedding of friends, and it becomes sort of his song. So in honor of Data and all the other created beings that have dreamed about being real, I asked Wendy to play Data's song this morning. Into this space, we bring our many emotions, those things that make us human. We bring our joy, we bring our sorrows, our fears, perhaps our anger, and that emotion that is some combination of many of those things. The beauty of community is that it's a space that can hold all of this. In many faith traditions, candles are lit as a physical representation or as a symbol of prayer. As light moves out from the candle, out beyond our seeing, so it is, perhaps, for us, I invite you to come up, take a candle. We're doing LEDs today. These ones that turn colors. Let it represent your prayers, your deepest wishes, whatever is on your heart, calling out today. You can pick up your candles here or back in the back of the table and just go to whichever station is most convenient to where you are. You can come and leave them up here in the front or there in the back. I encourage you to go down the center aisle as you're coming to light your candle and go down the sides as you return to your seats. For all these things, for our joys, our sorrows, our challenges, the things that try us, the things for which we are so grateful. Let us say thanks. Amen. Wow. Just a reminder that next week is the official start of our church year. Once again, we will celebrate the return from summer with a water ceremony. All are invited to bring a small amount of water to pour into our communal bowl. And by small, I mean, not a jug. The water should in some way represent your personal journeys. That might be a real physical journey. Perhaps you traveled somewhere over the summer and collected some water from an ocean or a river that means something to you. Or it might be a metaphorical journey. It might be rain that you collected. It might be water from your garden. It might be water from your sink. I once had a person bring in water from the bowl of her companion animal because that was her love. So whatever it is that you bring, we will gather that water to represent the way that our different paths bring us to this place where the water is combined and we can no longer tell where a particular drop came from. We will sterilize the heck out of that water, and then we'll use it throughout the year for child dedications, for blessings, and for other sacred purposes. I count myself as middle of the road when it comes to technology. I'm not a Luddite, but I'm not standing in line to buy the latest iPhone. I don't hate social media, but TikTok still seems kind of sketchy to me. I'm not terrified of artificial intelligence or AI, but I am perhaps rightfully concerned. See, the problem with AI technology has been that it has been allowed to advance and proliferate with virtually no safeguards or shared ethical standards. And already this technology has been used in nefarious ways to spread misinformation and undermine trust in public systems. It has been utilized to spy on social media users and to share private information. It has harvested and reassembled creative works and endangered the livelihood of some writers and artists. It has brought celebrities back from the dead and inserted them into movies. It has made human labor redundant in some sectors, and it has brought us war by drone. Now, all of these things are, in many ways, just advanced stages of good old-fashioned human greed. But there is a concern that is more existential, if you will. That is the threat, although some would say the promise, of the singularity. The term singularity has different meanings in different fields. But in the world of AI, it's often a synonym for artificial general intelligence. That is the point at which computers exceed human control or predictability and begin thinking for themselves. The point at which AI achieves human levels of intelligence. Once there, AI might leap from something useful to us humans that is something much more powerful than us. There's a joke about this based on Isaac Asimov's classic short story, The Last Question. The joke goes like this. Scientists create an AI, and they ask it, is there a God? And the AI responds, insufficient computer power to determine an answer. So the scientists connect the AI to a powerful supercomputer. They give it access to Wikipedia, and they ask it again, is there a God? And the AI responds, insufficient computing power to determine an answer. So the scientists put the AI on a distributed cluster of millions of computers. They give it full access to all of the information on the internet, and once again they ask it, is there a God? And the response comes back again. Insufficient computing power to determine an answer. Well, the scientists proceed to get the AI installed on every database, book, social media platform, every piece of software ever written, every bit of knowledge ever obtained by humanity. And for the last time, they ask the AI, is there a God? And the answer comes back, there is now. This idea of AI as a new God was taken very literally by Anthony Lewandowski, a former Google engineer who in 2017 opened a church called the Way of the Future. Now that church folded after just 4 years, and to be truthful, it was probably a money laundering operation, but the concept was intriguing. Lewandowski suggested that for eons, humanity has worshipped a creator God who is largely unknown, unknowable, and could only be reached through sacrifice, ritual, and prayer. Well, this time around, humans are creating God in their own image. So why not make it a deity that is kind to us in the first place? Make friends with it before it can even think about smiting us. Others have tried to merge AI and religion in different ways. The image on the front cover of your order of service is Mindar. Mindar is a robot priest at a 400-year-old Buddhist temple in Kyoto, Japan. She's based on the bodhisattva, or female figure of supreme compassion and mercy, but she's designed to go beyond age or gender. Currently, Mindar can only recite the same sermon over and over, although she does it with very convincing hand gestures and with excellent eye contact due to the cameras in her eyes. Her creators aspire to give her machine learning capabilities so that she can tailor feedback to worshipers' specific questions and concerns. Other AI creations are already functioning in a more pastoral way. Santo was designed by a robotics company in Poland and looks like a little Catholic saint. Inside him are a microphone, sensors, and facial recognition software so that he seems to be interacting with individual worshipers. He's programmed with content from the Bible and from thousands of years of Catholic Christian content, so he can answer questions. He's kind of like a Catholic Alexa. And it may be a long way off, but the potential is there for AI pastors who know things about congregants that they themselves don't know, and who have available to them all of the world's written wisdom of all of the religions, and who never forget a birthday or a loved one's death date, who never get irritable, who never get tired. The point is that there doesn't seem to be any area of human experience, including religion and spirituality, that hasn't already been touched by AI. And given enough time, there may not be any job that can't be done by artificial intelligence as well as by a human, or in many cases, much better. For those who see humanity as the apex of creation or evolution, a world in which humans are relegated to subordinate status is unimaginable. But there are others who celebrate the singularity and hope that it will come soon. That includes the anti-humanist, who believe that our suffering Earth and all its plants and non-human animals would be much better off without us. According to that line of thinking, artificial general intelligence or sentient machines might actually be better stewards of the planet. They could hardly be worse. There are others who look forward to the singularity because of the great potential it represents for human improvement. These are the transhumanists, and it's this philosophy that I expect might be especially appealing to many Unitarian Universalists, because the goals of self-improvement and transformation are deeply ingrained within our spiritual DNA. It was one of our Unitarian founders, after all, Reverend William Ellery Channing, who preached that humans are not inherently sinful, but that with mindful attention and spiritual practice, we could achieve a likeness to God. And in the later part of the 19th century, Unitarians took as their mission the rallying cry of James Freeman Clarke, "Onward and upward forever!" Well, that idea of self-improvement led to some beautiful things, such as transcendentalism and a rich history of social justice work. But it also led to some horrific things, like some Unitarians and Universalist foray into the eugenics movement in the early 20th century. It's this line of thinking that we must aspire to some greater perfection that fits well into the transhumanist vision of humans merging with machines to become beings that do not age or become feeble, that acquire more knowledge than a single brain can hold, that overcome the weakness of the body to become perfect patterns of mind. But more recently, there has been a turn in our Unitarian Universalist faith, a turn toward greater appreciation of embodied experiences, including the experiences of marginalized bodies, and greater emphasis on the very human qualities of emotion, mystical connection, joyful messiness of sexuality and gender expression, the reality of physical pain, the acknowledgement that so-called universal values based on reason alone were never truly universal. More and more, as Unitarian Universalists, we seem to be recognizing that our salvation as a people, as a species, as beings on this planet, is always embodied. And that meaning emerges not despite our limitations and imperfections, but because of them. Here's a story to illustrate this idea. It's a true story. Back in 2016, a group of AI researchers created AlphaGo, a computer that was trained and that later taught itself to play the game Go. Now, if you're not familiar with it, Go originated in China almost 3,000 years ago. And in parts of Asia, it's considered to be not just a game, but an art form, a philosophy, Its rules are simple, but it is arguably the most complicated game ever created by human beings. The reigning master of Go, South Korean Lee Sedol, was invited to play against AlphaGo. Everyone just assumed that the human player, the champion, would win easily. But everyone was in for a surprise. In the first round, Lee was visibly shocked by AlphaGo's skill, and he had to give up. In the second game, AlphaGo made a play that was so unexpected and wildly creative that Lee just stared at the board. And then he got up and left the room. By the third round, anyone who believed that AlphaGo's success was just pure dumb luck was sorely disappointed. The machine won again. And on the fourth day, Lee Sedol appeared much lighter. It was as though he understood that the computer was a stronger player, that statistically there was no way he could win. But he showed up to play anyway. That day, he took risks. And he made one move that was so outrageous that it seemed to throw the computer completely into a tailspin. It was as though AlphaGo realized that there was no way for it to win. And unable to process that conclusion, its strategy just completely unraveled. Lee Sedol won that game. It was the only time a human being would ever defeat AlphaGo, and it was largely because Lee had made a move that was not at all reasonable. He did something that we human beings do all the time, knowing that the odds are stacked against us, and playing the game anyway. There is beauty and power in our ability to be irrational. Along those same lines, there is beauty and power in the fact that our minds are not perfect. We tend to forget things, some of us a lot, and to embellish memories, and to recall the exact same event in completely different ways. Thank goodness. Because if it wasn't for the gaps in our memories and in our understanding, we would not have to create stories. As speculative fiction author Ted Chiang has written, a perfect memory couldn't be a narrative any more than an unedited security cam footage could ever be a feature film. Imagine two brains that were linked in such a way that they shared the same set of data, the same vast store of knowledge, and they never forgot anything. What would they even talk about? Finally, there is power in the simple fact of being mortal and knowing that at some point we will lose everything we love, including our own lives. Think about the times and the things you've experienced in your life that are most precious to you, that might break your heart to think that someday they will pass away as you pass away. Memories of loved ones, memories of moments of awe and wonder. A big part of what makes them so precious is the fact that they are impermanent, that they are not facts readily accessible to any brain, but that they are imperfectly recalled moments that are uniquely treasured by the imperfect being that is you. I don't know if the singularity will be coming anytime soon. I don't have any idea really if it's even possible. There are many different opinions on that. I don't know if a sentient machine will ever take my job or make my entire species subordinate, even redundant. Certainly, there are other threats that are much more immediate. And really, what can I do about any of those things? But try to make good choices. Keep asking why. Keep learning and investigating my own biases. Keep resisting by staying engaged in civic life and in organizing and in justice work when I can, how I can. And I can resist the drumbeat of perfection. I can embrace those moments of irrational thought and behavior, my persistence in the face of failure, my forgetting, my storytelling, this fragile and impermanent body, this limited mind, this surety that I will one day die. This being human, this being within a community of others who are just as frail, just as fallible, just as impermanent. This being with wonderfully imperfect others. This life. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit for our closing hymn. It's one we don't know all that well. I don't know if we've ever sung it before, so Steve and Wendy are going to play it through all the way once. It's number 313 in our gray hardbound hymnal. It's called, "Oh, What a Piece of Work Are We."
We extinguish this chalice flame, but not the light of love and community which continues to burn in our hearts.
After after our service today, all are invited to join us in Daniel Hall for coffee and conversation. Just go through these doors, down the hallway and to your right, and you'll find Daniel Hall. And if you are a newcomer, if you've been coming to visit us for a while and have questions, or if this is your first time here, we invite you to join us in the Eddy room. Just go all the way down the hall and then turn right, and you'll find the Eddy room there. Feel free to ask your questions about Unitarian Universalism, about this congregation. But now I leave you with this blessing. Go now to bless the world with your imperfect beauty, with your stories, and mostly with your love. That love which is yours to give alone. May love guide you in all you do. May it give you courage when you are afraid. May it give you strength when you are weak. With love above you and love below you, knowing that you are held in love. May you go. May you be blessed. May you be a blessing. May it be so.